disagreed with Dr. Spock's book on child rearing, and now I know I had an embedded personal experience that caused me to disagree with it. I guess I should have started this book 50 years ago. Who knows where that would have led? As time went by, I completely recovered from my ordeal with pneumonia. The scar on my back from the surgery was very pronounced and ugly, so I always wore a shirt after that. It was become a permanent habit for the rest of my life. Out of sight, out of mind, and very few people were ever made aware of its existence. Spring arrived, and lo and behold, Queenie was a new problem. I had nothing to do with it, but she had got out of the yard and was pregnant. Dad gave her to Uncle Bob Long, who lived out on a farm down the South Bend. It was not much later that Queenie had 16 pups. The first time we went down there and saw that herd of pups, it was a sight to behold. There was no reason to argue about who petted the pups because there was more than enough to go around. That part of Cass County eventually became St. Bernard country. We didn't take one. Dad was smarter than that. But eventually they all found new homes. The summer of 1929 was upon us, and things at home were getting more exciting for me. Dad was planning construction changes, one after another, all summer long. It started with a new slate roof and all new gutters on the house. I could only watch the activities down on the ground, but I covered that pretty good. I did wind up kicking the end of one of those old gutters while I was barefoot, sliced one of my toes. Dr. Taylor came over and taped it back together. He said it'd take a few weeks, but it would heal all right. Or at least he thought it would. And it did. I managed to get my foot into tennis shoes so long as I didn't lace them up tight. And by midsummer it was okay. Left foot, second toe, that's where the lump is. I can't forget that. They finished the roof and a new crew came to work. This time it was one of Dad's concrete crews. They started out, they put an addition on the garage foundation so the garage could be widened for 2 cars. I was watching that job closely, trying to figure out how that was going to work. Finally the day came. They put braces inside the garage and proceeded to saw the building in 2, right down the middle. The workers spoke German most of the time, so I couldn't understand the plan. They must have known what they were doing because the building didn't fall down. Finally, they were ready, and with crowbars started to scoop the west half of that building toward the new foundation. The Sorgan and 999 were words that they used frequently. I finally found out what that meant. Be careful, and no, no, no. Inch by inch, they moved it until it was in place. That still didn't make sense to me with all those braces and no roof over the middle of the building. Dad wouldn't be able to put his cars in there. And they started nailing up new rafters and building the new center section. Well, now that might be all right. Yep, that's going to work. But What about the chicken house that had been out on the back of the garage? They tore that down before they started, and I wondered if they were going to put it back up. Dad said they'd do that later, but now they were going to put in new walks in the driveway. They started breaking up the old concrete with sledgehammers and loading it on Dad's trucks. It didn't take long, and it was all gone. Dad talked to them about putting walks in the backyard, and he wanted them to be red. So they started digging and building forms all over the place. And it was hard to keep track of all that. They poured the driveway first, and it was big and wide. And I was fascinated by how they did it, especially the finish work. I couldn't understand why a little guy like me couldn't get out on that new concrete like the finishers did. But I had to be content to just stand back and watch. But I learned a lot as they cut and seamed the squares and then edged and troweled the rest. It was so smooth and pretty. It took 3 or 4 days to do it all. Dad explained why the driveway entrance was straight on the left and curved on the right to make turning easier. And I never did forget that. Then came the walks in the backyard and a floor slab behind the garage for the play area. I'd used the boards from the old chicken house to put the roof over. That sounded good. They tore down the old wire fence so the cement trucks could get into the yard. Pouring the walks was routine by now, but I wanted to see how they were going to make that red. I watched as they mixed the dye into the finishing coat of dry cement, and then watched as they sprinkled it on top of the fresh poured cement. As they poured it, and the colored finish pulled the water up from the fresh concrete, and the red walks were no longer a mystery. They troweled all of it smooth, and then John Els cut it into flagstone shapes with a seamer. What a work of art. They had also put new clothesline posts in at the ends of the walk for Mom. Big, pretty steel ones. That looked good too. They put off the job for a few days while the concrete cured. And in the meantime, here come another crew. They were going to replace the old fence. Corner posts for our rose trellis had been set before the walks were poured. They set the new posts for the new picket fence and started building the trellis. Board by board, it was cut and painted before assembly. And they started on the fence. And again, every piece was painted before it was nailed into place. The same crew built the roof over the play area. Dad and Bill and I pulled the forms off the walks and driveway. Bill and I started pushing dirt back against the walks, filling in where the forms had been. The concrete crew came back and pulled up all the forms, loaded them up, picked up the junk concrete. Things really looked great. Now Mom took charge of took over the project. We planted new rose bushes and flowers along with grading, seeding, and watering, doing yard work. Someone came by and put up the wire on our new clothesline posts. It was really something to behold. Everyone in the neighborhood came by to have a look. Oh yeah, they brought out a load of sand and put it in the play area. on the slab. We had the nicest sandbox in town. We were known as those lucky Kitrell kids. For my part, I knew I was one of the luckiest kids in town for the experience that summer had given me. I was now a 4-year-old expert on construction. Dad's new Model A coupe and the family Packard had been parked in the street for about 2 weeks until the new driveway cured completely. Now that the garage project was completed, it was time to get the cars inside. The Packard was a 1925 Victoria two-door, blue with a black leather-covered top and a matching trunk on the back. It had wood spoke wheels, varnished, they were pretty. But it wasn't all that roomy. We had to get into the back seat before Mom and the baby got in the front seat. Anyway, Dad drove the Packard into the garage for the first time, parked it on the east half. Then he drove the Model A into the west side. He did that several times before he got it right. It was a close fit. Late that summer, Dad traded off the Victoria and got a new big 6-pack, 4-door sedan. Wow, what a car. Room to spare for everyone. This car had steel wheels and big tires. It was dark green with black fenders. It had a lap robe bar across the back of the front seat. It had 2 lap robes to go with it. The big tail light had a backup light built into it. The manual throttle and choke were levers built around the horn button on the steering wheel. That was the early cruise control for highway running. Real neat. That old Packard Victoria would sure to be a collector's dream today. With the construction work all done and the cars put in the garage, things looked pretty normal and real nifty. There was a lot of work done that summer, and it was well planned and really made some changes. But now everyone was starting to talk about school. This was all new to me, but I was going to start kindergarten at Riley School. Big deal, of course. Rosie and Bill were already old hands at it. It was going to be a brand new experience for me. Someone announced that there was going to be a preschool day, a day that everybody go over and get acquainted and see what they were going to be doing at school. That was set up in advance. And I had told Jim Arrigo about it, and he wanted to know if it would be all right if he and Santo went with us. And he didn't know the way over there either. So I said, sure. Well, anyway, the day showed up, and Mom and I and Rosie went along. And we stopped by the store, and Jim and Santo joined with us. And we walked over to the Riley School. They took us on tour, showed us where the classroom was going to be, told us a little bit about what we could expect. Got acquainted with Miss Graff, who was going to be my teacher. It was her first year teaching in the public schools, but she, as we would later find out, was going to have a long tenure.